Hello and welcome back to TNWKS, the Now We Know show, the show where we discuss a topic of interest and by the end we will have learnt something new and hopefully you will too. I'm Zach.
I'm Buzz and we've got back in the studio
June.
Yes,
Hey.
for another rocking episode of Indiana Jones' World of Adventures.
If you enjoy the Now We Know show podcast, support Zak Wylde Productions on Patreon or join our members on YouTube for early access, ad-free content and exclusive episodes.
Welcome back to the studio, June.
Well, very nice to meet you again.
Yes.
It's good to have you back in.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go on another whirlwind trip of an adventure to a country of your choosing.
I'm going to the first time I went to China.
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 Yes.
Ooh.
And I think you're following up
And following it up with my first and only trip to Tibet.
Awesome.
Haven't you mentioned these China trips before?
I've been 4 times to
Wow,
China and
wow.
once to Tibet. But
Okay.
I've always wanted, since I was 11, to go to Tibet.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But- So let's take you back. When and how, why did you decide to go to China?
Well, I'd been to New Zealand the same year, and there was an advertisement in the paper, my local paper, of a holiday to China for 11 days. I had to look at my bank balance, but I thought, this is an opportunity, I'm going to go.
Right. And were you going by yourself again?
Yes,
How much did it cost at the time?
just over £1,000, I think.
Okay.
£1,000?
£1,000.
£1,000.
I mean, by
No,
today's standards,
but
that's really good.
It's about 4,000 or 5,000 now,
I would
Yeah.
say at least.
at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
But
So you saw the advert in your paper.
it was late in the year, but anyway, I decided to go, so off I went.
So how long was the trip? This is your first trip.
I think it's about 10 hours.
Yeah, but
it's-
how long did you go to China for?
For 11 days.
11 days on your first trip?
Yes.
Right, okay.
So
Was it direct flight out?
yes.
Do you
And-
remember where you landed? Of course, at an airport,
Well-
probably.
We'd hope so.
Well, we came from there and we went to Beijing.
Right, it was Beijing.
And it was getting dark, and then I actually met the lady I was sharing with, Audrey.
Right, so this was a sharing
This
holiday.
was sharing holiday.
So I think you mentioned this before, didn't you? Where you don't always know.
You don't know who you're going to be sharing with until you meet them at the airport.
That could be quite awkward.
It could be awkward. And she was limping. She'd broken a bone in her foot, but decided not to cancel. She was a teacher from up north,
Okay.
and we got on very well.
Oh, that's good.
And I kept in contact with her for several years, but unfortunately she's passed away now.
So, what was your burning desire to get to China? Yeah, what was it that most people say, "Oh, I want to go this place. I've always wanted to go and visit this place." You know, so
Well, I don't know if I've ever been there in my past lives or whatever, but it's always fascinated me. Not as much as Tibet, but I've just wanted to go and see all these fascinating places
Right.
that I'd heard of.
So let's start on this whirlwind trip. We're in China. What did you do first?
When we got on the coach, no idea what the hotels were going to be like. I've been to some good hotels in Europe and whatever, but you don't know, what you're going to find. And we eventually got there. Huge hotels covered in fairy lights and whatever, because it was quite late. Luxurious hotels. Went to our room. The bathroom had all the things you need: toothbrush, toothpaste, combs, shampoo, all the different things, a pair of slippers.
They gave
whatever.
you a free pair of slippers.
Oh yeah, well, slip-on slippers.
Well,
no.
I suppose that's the thing. When was it that you actually went on this trip?
Oh, well, over 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, that must be very early, if not even before, like the advent of the internet and things.
Yes.
So that must have
Well,
been
nobody had
technology
phones.
or phones.
No,
So that
no.
must have been quite the gamble
Yeah.
as to what to really expect.
Yeah.
Because you've only had pictures to kind of
Well,
go by.
I'd no idea how luxurious it was.
Yeah.
And there was an attendant on each floor, each corridor, because you had flasks of jasmine tea. And if you ran out of it or needed
your
anything
room?
else in your room, you just had to open the door or just ring, and somebody would come running to see what you wanted.
So what was the room like? Obviously you were sharing, so...
All very luxurious.
All right.
You know, I mean, as you know, Peter, we've been to Germany and we've had some very strange
dodgy
hotels.
rooms, yes.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it sounds like there's some stories
Yes,
there.
we
Yeah.
were in a very dodgy hotel with an umpire band and a Tom Jones impersonator. But that's a story for
another
another day.
story.
Story for
Anyway.
another time.
So we were told we had a meal downstairs before we went to bed, and then we had to take our coats and everything downstairs the next morning. Big tables, lazy Susans with 12 people sitting round them, and the food keeps coming out and whatever. So you go down in the morning with your coat and your bags ready to go, and we got in the coach and we went to a school, and the infant school was singing songs and doing little dances and different things. So that was our sort of first thing. Then we went on to a college where the professor was actually doing some paintings, and I did buy some scrolls, and that was all very interesting.
Was this like traditional Chinese
Yes,
art?
you know, painting with the brushes and whatever, and that was a very interesting. Then we went and had lunch.
So did you have to go and find your lunch?
No, they take you to a different restaurant each time you eat, so that you have a different tastes of
Right.
cuisine and whatever. So we went, and then we went on to the Forbidden City, which is just off Tiananmen Square.
Where you were allowed to go there then?
Yes.
Wasn't that forbidden then, was it?
No, it wasn't forbidden. But there were ladies selling postcards and things. I've actually bought some paintbrushes and things because they were allowed to sell them at that time.
Okay.
And as I sat there was a lady outside doing a cutting of me, so I've still got it
You're
somewhere.
talking about one of those silhouette cuttings?
Yes, a silhouette.
wow,
I've
that's
still got
cool.
one. It was only little, but yes, we did.
I think our good friend Jed Pascoe does
Oh,
silhouette cutting.
we'll definitely have to get him in for a podcast one of these days.
We went into the Forbidden City, and it is huge. I mean, you can't go and see the whole thing in a day. But we went through different rooms and through different arches, and huge boulders of jade carved like mountainsides with trees and all sorts, different sorts. And they were absolutely wonderful. And all the pillars and the different rooms.
You're not going to buy one of those on the Jewellery Channel? Then?
No, I'm not going to buy one of those.
Well,
Actually,
just imagine the import charges there.
actually, on the second time I went to China, there was nothing there. They'd all disappeared, but that's
Oh.
another story.
That's another story.
That's another story. But we had a lovely time going there, and then we had another meal in the evening, and then the next day we went up to the Great Wall of China.
Now, what was it like to see the
That-
Great
that-
Wall of
that's-
China?
that's-
It was
kind of
quite
a-
it was quite icy up there, and actually I'd acquired a pair of salopettes, which are you wear to go skiing with, and moon boots and a padded jacket and a woolly balaclava and padded gloves with strings so they didn't fall off. And Audrey didn't want to climb up there because it's very icy and slow. It was very cold and very steep, but I did get up
So
there.
what was
Well
it like
done.
to actually arrive at the Great Wall of China?
Down below it, there was stalls and little shops and things where Audrey stopped. I did buy your father a furry hat down there, but I did go up there. I didn't get up too far, and it's very, very steep, and there's nothing to hold on to because the walls and are only about a foot high on each side, so you've got nothing to grab onto. But
Right.
it's supposed to be wide enough for, I think, for about 4 or 5 horses to go up and down around. But you could see for miles and miles and miles.
So was it really impressive?
Yes,
Good.
it
Good.
was really.
Did you have guard house? You know, because you sort of have those towers every so often.
Yeah.
Did you go into one of those at all?
I didn't manage to get up because it was very icy and slippery.
Right.
But
Yeah, I don't know. Your moon boots might have.
Well, no.
that's really
Anti-gravity.
super grips. on them.
Anti-slip
I
technology.
needed them because it was so cold going up there and icy, but I did manage that. So
So you got to the Great Wall.
we've been up the Great Wall, and then we went and saw, I think it was a concert we went to before we went and ate in the evening. And then, so that was that.
Well, you've mentioned the eating several times now.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the quality of the food like?
Wonderful. I put on half a stone.
Oh, wow.
In 11
Okay.
days eating with
Okay.
chopsticks.
The chops- yeah, I know. I mean,
I
know you.
can't now with the arthritis.
Normally, you have chopsticks with a spring in between.
Yes, I acquired those later with the arthritis.
I think we've
Yeah.
talked about food in previous podcasts
Yeah.
on your adventures.
Yeah.
But this sounds like it's probably one of the more impressive
Yeah, well,
delicacies.
Audrey was a
that you've-
vegetarian, and so we stuck together. So I had to taste things to make sure that she could eat them. and whatever.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not quite sure how that works.
It's a carrot. You can eat it.
All
What
sorts.
official
was the
food
seafood
tester.
like? Do they have seafood?
Yeah, well, they have seafood. They also have huge fish, which are a bit dangerous because you've got to poke at them with chopsticks and you don't know if you're going to get. Because when I was up the Yangtze, I got one stuck in my throat.
What, fish?
Yeah, no.
Was it a live fish?
No,
bone.
a bone.
Oh,
and
we
had
don't
a-
want those.
Had a
Don't
bit
want a
of
fish
choking.
bone in your throat.
No, we didn't want that.
So
So
I have to give an emergency tracheotomy.
no, you have to be very careful with fish, but normally everything else is you can pick it up with your chopsticks. Or
Okay, so
whatever.
the food was throughout the trip
Oh, yes,
was
it's-
exemplary.
Can
Yes.
you remember like your favourite dishes at all?
Yeah, was there your go-to?
I really like all
I'm having the-
Chinese
I'm
food.
having-
Chicken,
here's a good
beef,
question.
pork.
Here's a good question for you. I've been to an Indian restaurant in London many years ago, but sold traditional Indian food, which is a lot different to what we have standardised
Yes.
English Indian takeaway. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did it compare to what you would if you're in England and you have a Chinese takeaway or go to a Chinese restaurant? Is it very similar, or did you find a striking difference?
It's all very different. It all depends what region you're in.
Oh, well, like having a Sichuan
It-
Or new
well,
Hong Kong style sweet and sour chicken.
I mean, I've eaten Chinese in Belgium. I've eaten it in Spain, and all sorts of different. And it's all different.
Yeah,
And-
Scotland. Don't have
Oh
Chinese
yeah.
in
Oh, I
Scotland.
can find.
Is that
no,
from experience?
Yeah, that's from experience.
I've eaten in Scotland.
Oh, no,
when in
well,
And you
doubt,
survived?
Maybe this particular one at Fort William was just
when
not,
in doubt, I
Up to
always
standards.
look.
up to standards. Eh?
No, I say when in doubt, I always look for a Chinese because you usually get good food, and you know what you're going to eat.
Okay.
So that is top of the list.
Okay,
When
so-
in doubt, abroad,
So we
go to Chinese.
So out of interest, because obviously we always have Chinese as a meal, an evening meal generally. You might
Yeah.
have Chinese at lunchtime, I dare say. But
That'd be
so
cool.
what do you get served for breakfast when you're in China?
Different rolls, different bits of meat, all sorts of things come.
It's just Chinese at breakfast. that'd be
Chinese
nice.
at breakfast.
I could go for that. I could go for that.
Anything, the lazy Susan goes
Well, I
around.
didn't know if they had specific sort of Chinese breakfast dishes that we don't usually get to
No, I
see
don't
because you don't
think
go to
so.
the
It
Chinese
was just-
restaurant to order a breakfast. do you?
Full English. There you
Yeah,
go.
all,
Full
sort,
English Chinese.
all sorts of things it's turning up, and you can take it or leave it.
Right, so you just get busy spinning that lazy
So
Susan.
every time you go out,
Oh, this sounds great.
lunchtime and evening,
Yep.
they take you to a different type of cuisine, so you can sample all the different things.
Right.
I'd like to do some sampling myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
Well,
fun.
one night we were out, and we'd been to the theatre, and they took us for the evening meal.
Okay.
You are going to have a treat.
Ooh.
Mm.
Not like
It's-
you already haven't.
No,
Sounds like the whole trip's a treat.
you're going to have Mongolian hot pot.
Oh. Yeah, that's
Uh-oh. Okay.
Okay. So
One
we
for the
sat
spice
there,
lovers.
and there are little cookers with well, you used to get
What, on the table in front
on
of
the
you?
table. Every two people had got a little cooker.
Their own little cooker, right?
Yeah, it's got a little flamey thing underneath, and there's boiling soup in the pot at the top, and a plate of raw food that you pick up and dip into the hot pot, evidently, and eat it. You know.
Okay,
share.
okay.
So we're sitting there, and all these little, this one next to Audrey, and the lady knocked it over. The boiling soup ran over the side of the table, all over Audrey's legs.
Oh, no.
She screamed. I grabbed a jug of water, poured it all over her legs, shouted for help, and managed to get two cloth serviettes and dragged them. We needed to go to the loo, and I got another lady to show us where it was. She got the trousers off, dipped the things in water, wrapped her legs in water, in the water-soaked rags, and they wrapped her in towels and what.
Did they not send for a paramedic?
No, they didn't. there was me and 2 serviettes wrapped around Audrey's legs.
You were wrapped around Audrey's legs?
No, I wasn't.
In the loo? Oh, no.
So eventually she cooled down and they took the trousers away and I said, I need them cleaning.
Did you get badly scolded? Oh, I'm jumping.
You're jumping. So they were all cold water wrapped round her legs, and hopefully, because I'd poured the jug of cold water over her in the first place. So they put us in a side room with her wrapped in towels. And I said, we need a meal. I said,
because you hadn't had your Mongolian hot pot.
No, the Mongolian.
Well, she'd had Mongolian hot pot.
Just not in the right way.
Just not the right way.
So and I said they were vegetarian, so we had lots of vegetarian
They weren't
food.
lying. It was hot.
It was hot. To this day, I have never eaten Mongolian hot pot.
Oh, you didn't get your hot Mongolian?
No.
All right, so you're in the side room.
So we got that, and eventually they brought her trousers back, and by the next day when we got her legs were only slightly pink. I don't know what they did with them.
But what did they give you to eat?
Well, it was mostly vegetables
and
and things.
Some vegetables.
Oh
Yeah.
no,
Well,
not the
it's
trade-off for being good.
Yeah,
You just get fed vegetables.
That's it. You know, good karma. You know.
we rice and vegetables and different things because she was a bit. But I'll say I don't know what happened, whether she claimed any insurance or whatever. But by the next day, her legs were only slightly pink.
Oh, that's good. It's
Right.
because of your
because I
fast-acting
threw the
serviette
water all
action
over.
in the toilet.
Yes. So I've never eaten Mongolian hot pot.
Is that because you've just not had a chance to eat Mongolian hot pot, or you've been put off the idea of eating
I
Mongolian
would
hot pot?
try it, but I've never seen it advertised anywhere where I've been since.
Okay, listeners, we need to search and find a place that serves Mongolian hot pot. If you know a place,
or have a recipe,
please comment below.
Yes. Anyway.
June, you might get your Mongolian hot pot yet.
Who never knows? Anyway, we pressed on regardless.
We pressed on regardless.
And
okay.
we actually went and saw the Terracotta Army.
So for those listening, what is the Terracotta Army?
Well, it was discovered by farmers digging in their fields where they found statues.
Uh-huh.
And they reported it to the officials, and they came and unearthed it. And eventually, there's huge buildings, and they found hundreds, maybe thousands, of statues of people, soldiers, and they've nearly all got different faces.
Oh, wow.
And different styles of
I
heads.
didn't know that. I didn't know
yeah.
that. I thought they were all like mass-produced.
No,
I think they were actually meant to all be
for when he's
meant to be replicas of the actual army.
I think that perhaps
wow.
yes.
That's really cool.
And some of them have still got most of the paint
Which
on.
emperor would they?
I don't know what he is evidently buried under a mountain which is near there, which they haven't started digging on because it's reputed to be booby trapped.
Right, I think I know.
Is this
about
like
this
Mummy, the Mummy 3?
I can't.
Tomb of the Dragon
I'm
Emperor.
not going to pull my phone out and do a Google, but the particular emperor, I think the tomb, they don't want to disturb it because.
Well, it's supposed to be booby trapped with
supposed to be-
mercury.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Don't want that.
Not sure about. I haven't heard about booby traps, but what I have gleaned about this particular burial chamber is that the authorities don't want to, or at the time, maybe things will change, I don't know, but at the time they didn't think they had the technology to be able to breach it, and they do. You know, when you open something like up and oxygen gets in there,
Yeah.
suddenly things can decay, and they didn't want to destroy what's in there. But reportedly, it's meant to have like rivers of mercury in this tomb.
Now, again, we're going into a mummy film. That sounds like the Tom Cruise mummy film because they had something like that.
And reportedly, it's meant to have rivers of mercury.
Speaking about ancient tombs and things, you're Indiana Jones. Surely this is like
You should
prime,
be pulling your ball
prime
whip out,
adventurer.
Yeah.
Like you got to get in there.
sticking on your hat, grabbing your dunny sack, and going for it.
Ball whip.
There's so many there. I mean, you can't really see it in a day.
Okay, so
There's two big buildings and whatever, and they're all looking different. Some of them got lots of paint and some haven't. There's
they're
horses.
painted, aren't they? Because
Oh,
I always
yes.
imagine them to just be this terracotta colour.
No. You know, I mean, it's thousands of years old, but there is quite a lot of the paint originally still adhering to them. You know, in places.
So, what is terracotta? Is it a type of stone?
Yes, well,
It's
it's
a
sort
type of clay.
well,
Clay.
it's clay. It's
Okay.
baked. It has to be.
Right. Okay.
Can you imagine the amount of ovens they would have had to build.
Well, all the different-
Ovens, hours worth of time,
Yeah,
and
but
like sculpture.
all the faces
Jeez.
are different, the hairstyles different. There's also we saw a little coach that they'd found with horses and people. It was absolutely overwhelming to see. And these are all there for when he's resurrected, and all taken in his, past in his future life, wherever he is in heaven, and they're all there to guard him. And it must have taken years to make them all, but it's really wonderful to go and have a look. I have seen it
I
twice.
have succumbed to pulling my phone out on this one.
Okay.
But I do not know how to pronounce this particular emperor's name.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
So should we have a go at this? Okay. Right, here we go. It's Qin Shi Hao's.
Hang.
Cool.
Emperor Kui Shing Hang's
Do you wanna
mausoleum.
Do you want to have a go, June?
no,
Emperor.
I don't think so.
Ki Sing Huang.
Qin Shi Huan. Qin Shi Huan.
Please, not Szechuan. Please excuse us, listeners, if we pronounced that wrong.
Okay.
Anyhow,
Go back to food again.
Get back to food.
we had a lovely time, and looked at many different places, and I did see the army again and the Great Wall of China the next time I went. But 18 months later, I looked at the brochure and they had add-ons.
Add-ons?
Yes, you could add on a different week in a different place, in China.
Oh no, that's
or
how they
going out-
get you.
Oh, yes,
That's how they get
and
you.
yes.
Ye old DLCs.
And
Yes.
I thought, oh dear, I have to look at the financial position. But yes, I'm going.
Okay.
Right.
Because I used to, since I was 11 and I joined the library, I was reading all about Tibet. The monks, thousands of years ago, used to have big kites and they used to fly on them.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
Like
that-
using them as like paragliders?
Yeah,
almost? Oh wow.
And different things like that. And when the Dalai Lama dies, they have to go out, they have trays of religious things, and they have to go and look for a boy that was born on the same day as the Dalai Lama died. I don't know if they have to leave it to get a couple of weeks old or something. And they go around and visit. It could be a farmer, it could be anything.
Mhm.
And whatever the baby touches, they will know whether or not he is the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama.
Do you know what he needs to touch? To
I
kind
don't
of...
know.
Okay.
I mean, I was 11
It's
when
the
I was
golden
reading these
child.
things.
Yeah,
Yes,
I was
it is,
gonna-
yes.
with Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy, the golden
and
child.
it was so fascinating. I've always wanted, and people have said, you'll never be able to afford to go there.
Right.
Lots of people have been very depreciating and said, no, you can't go there.
Well, guess what?
Yes,
You did.
I've been.
I'm going to jump in because I've got hopefully the translation for that emperor's name or pronunciation, shall I say? Let's go for it.
We are looking at how to pronounce the name of this Chinese historical figure and emperor, as well as how to say more interesting Chinese names. How do you go about pronouncing this one? Qin Shi Huang. Qin Shi Huang. Pretty straightforward once you know. Qin Shi Huang.
He still rests in peace at the moment.
So there you go. It's Qin Shi Huan,
Yes.
Emperor Qin Shi Huan.
Sounds tasty.
Sounds like a sounds like a dish.
I really enjoyed my
No
first time
disrespect, ma'am,
in
by the way.
China. But
Right. So we're heading.
we're now 18 months later,
Later.
and I found I can go to China with an add-on to Tibet.
So did you have to go yet again
I had
with
to,
sharing a room?
yes,
Okay.
which
So this time you
makes it
flew. So you flew out to China
yes,
for a second time,
yeah,
and you met your
yes.
companion. And what was your companion like this time?
A little bit strange.
Okay, I like the idea of this. Let's expand upon that. It's a little bit strange.
Well, yes, she was carrying extra clothes to give to people as
Gifts.
gifts, you might
Gifts
say.
of clothes. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
which seemed a bit strange. And then later on, while we were still in China, she happened to mention, "Oh, I used to be on the game," which I thought was a little bit off-putting.
What's that?
A lady of the night.
Lady of the night.
Oh.
A scarlet woman.
Oh
Yes.
dear. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you are sharing your room
Yes,
with a lady of the night.
she was wearing sort of bondage clothes and got short white
dear,
hair.
Oh
She's-
dear. Are we going down this route? Okay.
Okay.
You're
So-
taking the Jack's role this time.
Suddenly we've gone to bondage clothes, short cropped white hair. And, okay.
I
And
didn't
she-
expect this conversation to
No.
head this way.
Anyway,
Zak Wylde.
we did a little bit touring around China.
So did you have to go on the same trip again?
No, some of it we went to see bell towers and did go up the Great Wall of China again, and
Did
the
you?
Forbidden City, and
Oh, is this why you said when you went back to the Forbidden City, the jade
it had
disappeared?
disappeared. Yes,
Okay.
and we went to Ban Po, where all the ladies got really rosy cheeks and whatever. The first time we was up there, there was this big carving of a lady in alabaster. Second time, it's not there. I asked the person in charge, where is the statue? No statue. I said, I have photographs of statue. A minister has had it in his garden. So that's
Okay.
where. But
So
anyway,
It's all been.
it all changed
Been
in
nabbled
18.
by
been
somebody high
nabbled.
up.
It all changed in 18
Gotta love
months.
those communist countries.
But
Everybody shares in everything.
yes,
Got to be careful what you say there.
yes. Well, we're not saying anything else. But we were on our way to
All
Tibet.
for the people.
So we had to
Stop
go.
it.
We had to go to Sichuan to catch the plane. Sichuan has very, very hot food.
Yeah, sounds great.
Sounds
You can
right up
hardly
our street, that one.
It's very, very. So we went there, got in the plane, and flew off.
Okay. Well, I'd
To
hope so. It was a
Tibet.
plane.
Yes.
Was that just because you had the really hot food?
No, I didn't. It didn't propel me.
Whee! Quick, run to the plane!
Yes. Well, anyway, we arrived.
Oh, right, so we've now flown to Tibet.
We've now flown to the airport in Tibet.
Okay, I've got to ask you
And-
straight away on this one. Because of the altitude, when you got out, did you notice any difference?
I was perfectly all right in Tibet.
Okay.
I've never been so near the sun.
That's one way of looking at it.
They were
I
all
like it.
wearing very thick woolly jackets or sheepskin coats and whatever, because it was winter time and it was festival time. They were going to, religious sort of holiday. A man got his bags and baggage, lit a cigarette, finished it, threw the butt as we got out the door. Immediately, there's two soldiers with guns pointing at him. The guide had to come and explain that he committed an offence.
Oh dear.
He had to pick up the cigarette butt
Good on the soldiers.
and paid a fine immediately
Wow.
before he was allowed
Barely
to
off the plane.
leave.
Excellent. I think we should introduce this into the UK.
Yeah.
Especially for
Do
people.
you know how much he had to pay
I
for the
don't
fine?
know, not just off the top of my head.
I
but
hate those fine
He,
butts
he wasn't
everywhere.
best pleased, but then he was told he mustn't litter. So we all got on the coach and drove off to Lhasa.
Good policy. Good policy.
We like that.
And as we're going through the main city of Lhasa, there's a big statue of golden yaks galloping round in a circle there on our way to a very nice hotel where the waitresses were all wearing their sheepskin coats because it was cold. The only outstanding thing I can remember eating was yak burgers, which were very tasty.
Yak burgers.
Yes.
Right, so you didn't get your Mongolian
I
hot
didn't
pot,
get the
but you're getting
Mongolian.
your yak burgers at last.
Yes.
Like, was it in a bun or was it like
Yes.
literally a traditional
Yes.
burger?
Yes.
Sort of like Tibetan McDonald's.
Well, no, there's
Do they have McDonald's in Tibet? I would love to know.
I don't think so. I didn't see any. Anyway, our first day out, we went to a nunnery.
A nunnery.
Yes. Well,
So like
all the
convent?
ladies, well, like a convent, all the ladies got their hair shaved off. And we went, and we're out in the garden.
I was going to say, sorry, I'm just thinking about the burgers. I can't get out of my head. Just thinking if it was a Tibetan McDonald's, would that be a big yak?
Big yak. Oh wow. Wow,
Anyway,
Buzz.
we had to go out in
Quite
the
the
garden.
Joker today, aren't you?
Or a double big yak?
We had to go out in the garden, and it was a big
At the convent, yeah. Okay, the monastery, whatever he said.
nunnery.
Nunnery.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
Sorry,
it was like
the big
a
yak.
big
Too much fun.
outside building with a big cauldron thing inside, and this lady was stirring it with a
Right.
big spoon,
Okay.
and we were all going to have yak butter tea,
Yak butter tea.
which is almost as good as a meal. That's what they feed the nuns with.
Okay.
Well, I think they must have other things as well, but it's water, of course,
Yep.
flour,
Yep.
powdered tea, and yak butter,
And yak
all
butter.
boiled all up together.
How thick is this?
Sounds more like
It's
a
a lot
soup.
of thick soup.
So hang on. So how is it a tea if it's a soup?
Well, because
It's got tea in it.
because it's got
'Cause
tea.
it has-
Yeah, butter tea.
Tea
yeah.
soup.
Stop
Butter
being-
tea soup.
Stop being awkward.
So,
Stop being awkward.
yes, we all got issued with a cup of it, which I
Right.
cannot say that I would ever want to drink again.
Okay.
But
Did you polish it off?
I managed to find a bush in the garden.
Oh. You're surprised those two guards didn't jump
Yeah,
out
yeah,
with their
yeah.
AK-47s.
I mean, that would really stop littering in this country,
Yes.
wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
well,
With the threat of being shot.
I'm sure if you've been brought up with it, it's very nourishing, but I don't like it. I just couldn't
There's a
swallow
poor plant out there somewhere in that nunnery that is
Holds eternal vengeance upon you.
upon you
Yeah.
for putting yak butter tea
So
in it.
they did show
Or
us.
maybe it's flourishing.
Yeah,
Maybe
might
it's
be
the secret
flourishing.
ingredient to
Yeah,
fertile
they showed us
growth.
lots of, because the Chinese, once they annexed it, they were burning books that are thousands of years old. They're like, well, just
Scrolls.
that shape, you know.
Yeah, a rectangular.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then they realised that people actually wanted to come and see these things, so they stopped burning. But otherwise, they were burning all sorts of different things.
You really
Political ignorance for you.
Yeah, but they've annexed it because Tibet was a place on its own. But they've
Well, it's good to do that after the fact, isn't it?
yeah.
Really.
So, but
All that history.
They lightened up a bit. That's when you were allowed to go to Tibet, because at that time, that's why the Dalai Lama escaped to India.
Right.
Right.
So that's where he still is at the moment. And so we did the nunnery. Then we went off to two monasteries, Red Hats and Yellow Hats.
Okay.
I
Sounds
don't
like
know.
a Red Dwarf episode.
I
doesn't
don't.
it?
They're big hats with either yellow or red.
Are they those kind of ones that look like giant boats?
Yes.
Oh.
I don't know what slightly different bit of religion or whatever, but people were prostrating themselves on the ground and crawling in there to get in and be blessed because it was a festival time.
Okay, is this? I take it it's Buddhist.
Yeah, they're all
religion?
Buddhist, yes.
Right.
But I don't know what's the difference between red and yellow hats. But they
Different
must-
colour.
well, apart from a different colour. But they were actually crawling along the ground and prostrating themselves and whatever. And we went in
Do
and...
they ever sort of cross over and have orange hats?
No, I shouldn't think so.
That's the offshoot.
That's it.
Don't take my word for that.
No, I have no
Listeners,
idea.
don't do that.
Yeah, so we had a meal. I think we had to go back to the hotel because I don't think they had a lot of different restaurants and things in
Okay, is this
in the-
after the nunnery?
after the nunnery and the monasteries.
Right.
I'm just speaking there because everybody's carrying runny butter and pouring in front of the little statues of
Right,
Buddha.
little offerings.
Little
Okay.
offerings, yes, and whatever. So in the afternoon we went to the hospital.
Why would you go to the hospital?
Yeah, that sounds like. Were you injured?
No.
You hadn't
it-
poured yak butter over
No,
yourself.
no, no.
And had another Audrey incident.
No, we
Ordinary
didn't have an
stuff.
order. So we went, which was very interesting because I used to make cough mixtures and ointments and
Don't I
different
know
things.
it?
I used to treat your father. It was very good for him. Different things. But
Yep.
and lots of posters on the wall.
Another story.
Oh yeah.
And it's surprising how many of the what we call weeds were on the posters that they actually treat medicinal things.
Medicinal herbs.
And I had a good conversation with the doctor there about it all, you know, and it's surprising how many plants were on the wall that are actually growing in our fields and gardens. You know,
In the
we're
UK, yeah.
Oh wow.
yeah. So that was all very interesting, and I don't think there was a lot of entertainment in the
hospital.
No, not in the hotel. I think we just sort of sat in the lounges mostly.
How was the hotel?
Very good.
Oh, so the hotel in Tibet was very good. Okay.
Yeah.
And the
But
food.
The food was good.
We've got to always check out the food.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we've got a totally different cuisine here. So
Yeah.
is this totally traditional Tibetan food all the time, or was it quite sort of?
I think
what
it
do
was
you call
mixed. It could have been
international?
probably nothing too weird or whatever. But I particularly remember the yak burgers
The
because they were
big yaks.
yes, and there's lots of yaks all grazing up the hills and whatever. all round and about.
It's a good supply of
So
big-
how big is a yak? Is it like a traditional cow size?
Well, it's bigger than about the size of a cow, but
Oh,
it's
the cow,
all
but they're
very
very
hairy,
hairy.
very,
Right,
very.
okay.
The hair
it really
hangs down.
hangs down.
So
Yeah.
would you compare it to like a Highland cow or something?
Yes, that's about
Yeah,
the nearest thing you would get to it.
Or a very small bantha.
What's a
Oh.
bantha?
That's from Star Wars.
Oh
Yes, yeah, if you think of the shaggy bantha,
no,
Who rides the Banthas?
the sand people.
The Sand People.
Tusken
Tusken
Raiders.
Raiders.
Like,
I
what I
don't
would
think
say
so.
is the horns on a bantha are curly.
I don't
They're
think
not
this has got
curly.
anything
They're not
to
curly
do
on a
with
yak.
Tibet.
In reality, Banthas are actually elephants.
Well, that's what they used in the
Yes.
original
Yeah.
movie.
Oh, no, they're not as big as an elephant. I
No,
would
no,
say
no.
Highland cattle are about the nearest
Yeah.
thing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's a bantha with straight horns, size of a cow.
Yeah.
There we are.
Anyway,
There you go.
another day they decided they were going to take us up into the mountains and
Ooh.
to the turquoise lake, which is
Okay.
a sacred lake, which the Chinese wanted to make into a hydroelectric scheme, and the monks, the lamas, were trying to stop them.
I'm not surprised.
But presumably after 20 odd years now, they may have done it. Anyway, they said, we will be taking the oxygen with us.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
So we're into this big 4x4, and somebody comes up carrying this big square cushion with a pipe on it and a stopper.
Okay.
What's that? That is the oxygen supply.
It's just a cushion
It's a great big cushion,
full of
a
air.
canvas cushion.
Full of air.
So was this just for you or for everyone?
Well, it's
Anybody who needs it.
anybody who needs it. We're
Oh,
gonna
Basically,
supposedly
they've got an
pull-
inflatable boat.
I presume they pulled the bung out and
Stuck the pipe in your mouth.
in your-
Stuck in your mouth. Yeah.
As we were going along, little boys were running up the mountains because they were born there, so they got,
So they're used to it.
They're used to it. Anyway, nobody had to have that.
One look at it, they probably went, yeah. I
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm
I'll
all
skip
right,
on that. I think
thanks.
I can breathe.
Yeah,
That's
well,
it.
I was
I
all
don't
right
want the
there. So
pipe. I
anyway,
don't want the pipe. I don't know
The
where the
pipe.
I don't know where the pipe's been.
we got there and we had a picnic.
Ooh.
We had a little box and it had a little bird
What, in the box?
dead,
Oh,
Oh.
cooked. It was about the size of a sparrow.
okay.
Oh, did it have feathers?
No, it was
Oh,
it
okay.
was nude and cooked
A nude bird.
with
Sounds
some
like
bread and other little
Very
bits and pieces
small
and a drink.
drumsticks.
Like how would that, like, you say bread, but how would you make that into a sandwich?
No,
You'd
we
have-
didn't. You had
yeah,
it was
you'd
like
have
a
bones in
roll
it.
and
Yeah, the
stuff.
roll, a small.
What, did you have anything to put in the roll?
Yeah, the,
Well, you wouldn't
the
put
parrot. The cooked
Like, you can't
bird.
put the bird whole into a
Well,
roll.
well, you could
or
have
would you
bit-
have to like
You'd have to
pull,
gnaw
pull
the meat
bits off it.
Then you've already
And
started
did you say
eating
there was
it,
rice
so-
in there as well?
No,
No rice. Just a
was
roll and a
some roll.
and a budgerigar.
This turquoise lake. Well, what did it look
I
like?
want to know about the
Well,
budgerigar.
it was just like a big blue lake.
Okay.
And
Was it impressive?
Yes,
Yes.
but you know, a lake is a lake is a lake.
Oh, okay. So was
God,
it
you've
worth?
got all
Was
the
it
way
worth
to
the trip?
Tibet.
Was it
we
worth
went
the trip?
up there and we had, you looked at all the different scenery and all the yaks wandering about, whatever. So that was a day out.
Okay, what did everybody else think of their bird
Well,
picnics?
We all thought it was
Was
a
the
bit
jury
strange.
was out on that one?
We all thought it was a bit strange. But
I've got to chime in here.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in Tibet.
Mm-hmm.
We're now up in the mountains.
yes,
Was there any talk of the Yeti
no,
Or Shangri-La?
or Shangri-La?
no, no.
Oh, you could have strung us a tail
Well,
there.
we could have had a Yeti episode of the Now We Know Show podcast, but
But
No.
unfortunately, that's been shelved.
shelf for the
We
moment.
did see odd little monasteries, perhaps perched up on hills and different things, but we didn't stop at any of them.
Didn't you see any odd shapes wandering around?
No, only
No
yaks.
large footprints.
Only yaks.
No, we did not see the Yeti.
So you didn't actually ask or anything about it? It didn't
No,
come
it didn't.
up
It
in
was-
conversation?
No, it didn't.
Oh.
So the most frightening thing in Tibet was the pipe bag with the air in it.
Well, it wasn't
couldn't-
frightening,
I
it
don't
was-
know. It could have been the bird in a box.
Oh, the bird in the
Well,
box.
it was a bit strange. We wondered what the picnic was, and then you open it and it looks like this little
Budgerigar.
budgery or sparrow.
Did it have feet?
Well, it had legs on it because you knew it was a bird, but
It was identifiable as a
it
bird.
was a bird, little bird. Something to
What a
gnaw
picnic.
at.
What a fun snack, everyone.
Yeah.
Yay!
So there we came back again, and what else did we do? We went on a boat trip on a river near Lhasa.
Did you say Lhasa?
Yeah, Lhasa is the main. It was not far, so it must have been running around there. And they're made out of 4 yak skins,
Or the boats?
the boats.
Oh, right. I
They're-
was thinking
they're-
of a proper boat.
And almost square.
Right.
And they're not like coracles.
I was going to say, you were kind of painting the picture of a square coracle.
Well, and you've got to climb into, but you must keep your feet on the bamboos, otherwise you'd go through and then you'd sink.
How many people would fit in one of these?
I think we had about 10.
10 people in a yak skin boat.
Okay, everyone, let's do this by the numbers. Keep your feet on the bamboo.
Yes.
Do not put your
Anyway,
feet on the floor.
This before we got into this, there was a bit of a kerfuffle going on.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't your friend, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, here
We
it
had
comes.
to, had to send for the guide. Little boys, presumably little girls, have trousers that are split at the back so that they can open it up so that they can go to the toilet.
I don't know
If
where
need
this is
be.
going.
Okay.
And she was trying to get somebody to open the trousers and so she could take photographs of this child, which was a little bit invasive.
Yeah.
And things weren't going well.
Did the guard
I
with
can
the AK-47s pop out?
No,
They're just following you around.
we just had to have the guide go up there and smooth it all out, but she didn't want to go in a yak boat.
All right.
So we left her behind.
Okay.
I think that's probably for the
With
best.
the oxygen
I don't
bag.
think you ever.
No, the oxygen
Did you ever
disappeared.
meet her again?
Not after I came home, no. I don't know where she lives. I didn't really want to.
Okay.
Anyway, we had a ride down the river, but
think it was
they
food
let
for
us
the
get
ants.
off the other side because the river had gone down, so it was,
was
the
carted
dry
off by the
the
Yeti.
dry bed.
Sorry,
And
Carol.
I've still got some of the stones that I picked up over there. And it was so hot, and they're still in these coats done up like this. And I'm stripping down to my T-shirt because the sun was so hot.
Well, you were closer to the sun,
Yes,
remember?
I've never been so close to. Anyway, we had a little wander around exploring there, and then came back on the. And there's more kerfuffle going on.
Oh no!
not again.
Not the same person.
Yes.
Oh, what is it this time? That's she's gone back on the game.
No, I don't think it was doing that.
Oh,
No, she was trying to photograph a burial. It's in the river or whatever.
A burial in the river.
Yeah,
What's
well,
it- what,
presumably the ashes or something
Right.
rather.
somebody was having a ceremony at the time.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so that had to get smoothed out, but she didn't cause any more trouble.
Quite a troublemaker.
Yes, I just kept away from her as much as possible. But as I say, that was very interesting going on the river.
How far did you kind of get? Did I take it they had paddles? Did they?
I'm not sure if they had paddles or they had poles.
Poles, right?
Probably long bamboo.
Was it kind of like punting, maybe?
Bamboo, because they seem to use bamboo for everything. But say that was quite interesting. As long as you kept your feet on the bamboos, otherwise you would have sunk through. And then we went and walked around and had an explore on the other side of the river and whatever. So we've been to the hospital. We've been to see the red and the yellow hats, and what else? We've been to the turquoise lake, and then we were going to go to the Patola Palace.
All right.
The Patron Palace.
The Patola Palace
Is this where
is
the
where
Dalai
the
Lama,
Dalai
Lama
Lamas lived as his and there were queues and queues of people all in their traditional,
Costume.
costumes, because it's an official ceremony, religious festival, all carrying their melted butter. My jacket was never the same again, I must admit. But there's lots.
bit sniffy.
No,
What is that interesting smell?
You got it spilt on you. You couldn't help it.
Oh.
So you were very good.
Oh no! The butter was raining down upon me.
The yak butter. No, not the yak butter.
Oh no! I'm having a flashback.
There were several, you had to go upstairs to different, but there was lots of little niches with Buddhas in and candles, and you pour a little bit into an offering to it, all the rest of it. And
So you went to have an explore around the
so,
palace?
we were climbing all around the palace.
Was it a guided tour, was it?
Yes. And then we got to the flat, which was very simple. He did have a radio, just simple furniture.
Oh, you've been in the Dalai Lama's...
Oh, I've actually been in the flat, yes.
Oh, in his flat. Right.
Oh, yes.
Did he know?
Well, he wouldn't do because he was in India, wasn't he?
Right.
He still is in
He was
India.
out at the time.
He was out at the time.
Yeah.
There's June Holland is...
It's a huge place. It's all very decorative.
Okay.
And we got out on the top.
How was the Wi-Fi?
Just
Very
there wasn't Wi-Fi back then.
I was
Or up
standing
there.
standing up at the top talking to one of the monks. and we could hear this woman's voice saying, "If I see another bloody Buddha, I'm going,
Buddha.
yeah, I'm going to scream." And I thought, why have you come to
Yeah.
Tibet?
Yeah, that's
And
It's full of Buddhas.
yeah.
And I thought, this is ridiculous, and I had
It
to
wasn't your
apologise.
friend again, was it?
No, it wasn't her. No,
It was her friend's friend. No.
I had to apologise to this monk because he was looking quite taken aback. He'd been to India and he'd learnt how to speak English and different other things. So I did explain that I'm sorry that people were
For being
feeling
very
that-
disrespectful.
And no, we did get blessed as well. So
Not with yak butter.
not with
Butter.
yak.
What's a,
No.
what's a blutter?
Butter.
No,
Yak
we,
butter.
we were given white scarves and things like that. But it was, wonderful to see because I've got a card somewhere and I've seen pictures of it. It's a huge place, and I say they're all queuing up to put the butter in.
What were the views of the
Well, look-
Himalayas like? Did you, did you get to see
Flo-
them when you were flying?
No, because we were going to look at them, and the attendants came round and shut all the windows. I did have a sneaky peek, and they're very pointed, whatever. But they shut them and put on the what do you call those? The Ninja Turtle film.
Ninja Turtle movie. You just fly out of Tibet.
We
We'll
all
stick on
want-
the
we
new
all wanted
Ninja
to
Turtle.
see-
Teenage Mutant
See-
Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No.
Teenage
I
Mutant
can just
Ninja
imagine that's
Turtle
exactly
power.
what you wanted to watch as you left Tibet.
Yeah, no, well, leaving Tibet.
Okay,
Yes,
just before we leave.
just before we leave Tibet,
Yep.
get to the airport.
Before the turtle incident.
Yes, we had the turtles going back again as well. I did.
Speaking of animals, did you see any pandas?
Well, I saw them in China.
Okay.
Yes, they've got people who sort of mask up so they don't look like people.
I was going to say, not
Yeah,
people
well-
that pretend to be pandas.
No, and they're out
That
sort
was
of
a friend.
playing it out. Well, they are playing out in the gardens, and they do look after them or whatever.
Actually, I recall, if my memory serves me right, you brought me back a panda bat game from China.
I can't remember that. I might
It
have
was
done.
2 plastic bats with the face of a panda on each one,
Yeah.
and it had
And
a plastic shuttlecock with a sticker, sort of like one of them rubber arrows
Oh.
that sticks on
Yeah.
the front, and you could like.
Oh,
The idea
possibly.
is you threw the shuttlecock in the air, and the other person had to catch it with a panda bat and then
Ah.
throw it back.
What's that got to do with pandas?
I don't know, but I just remember this memory sort of
Yeah.
came to me.
No,
this
I can
panda
only
bat game.
remember Godzilla
wow.
from Japan.
But that's another story.
That's
So
another
we will
story.
get to.
But anyway, we're at the airport. Everything seems to be going all right. My hand baggage goes through the X-ray machine.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, we have, I don't know if they were the two same soldiers that picked up
Oh
people
no, not again.
with
You've-
rifles, one on each side of me.
All right.
With,
it's your
and the
turn
fi-
for the AK-47.
And the official, and I'm feeling quite annoyed, actually, not frightened, but I'm thinking, why am I
We're held at gunpoint.
being held up at gunpoint? You have a gun.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, well, they x-rayed it going in and there wasn't a gun, and I'm sure I haven't bought... Oh, I also did go round a market in Tibet as well.
Oh, you weren't arms dealing with him.
No, I wasn't
Smuggling ancient relics.
So they did let us go round the market, but that was...
So what was this gun?
Well, I got escorted away from the X-ray machine to another room, open carefully, and I'm thinking, I hope they're not trigger happy. So I'm
So try explaining that one on TripAdvisor.
I am
They did have that then.
slowly opening the zip,
Yeah.
and I thought I better not touch the handle, so I got it. It was my folding walking stick with two elastics, because it's got. It was like
Yes,
a
it's
4-barreled gun.
As well as
So
metal
I
ones.
took it out by the barrels and not the in case they
You
thought.
mean the stick?
Well,
Or
yes,
the bits of pipe?
but I thought if I get it out by the handle, they
It'll
might
suddenly-
think I'm going to fire at them.
So it suddenly went and turned into a walking stick
Yeah.
as the volleys of bullets
Yes.
Ready to fire!
ricochet
So
around the room.
Ready to fire!
Ready to fire.
I had to pick it out very carefully
Blackadder.
and take off the 2 elastic bands, and then he went bung, 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 bung. Oh, ha, 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 ha.
A walking stick.
Yeah, not funny for you, though, was it?
As they started taking their bayonets
So
out.
I was allowed to fold it all up again, put it back in the bag, and I was escorted to the aeroplane.
Hey,
Hey.
There we go.
it's now Mutant Ninja.
No, no.
Mutant Ninja Turtle time.
Yeah, it was Ninja Turtle.
I hope that gets past the blooming
So I haven't seen.
I was gonna
ad
say-
censorship
I was
on
going to say,
YouTube.
that's one for Jack, there.
I haven't seen the Himalayas properly because they
my.
insisted we shut the windows and watch the Ninja
The
Turtles.
Ninja Turtle.
I did have a little peep under there, and they look very spiky, some of them.
Oh dear.
But so I have been to Tibet now.
Yay! You got it done.
Yes.
So, of the two, which did you prefer, or would you?
Well, they-
Just
or are they
so
not
different.
comparable?
Well, they don't compare really. I mean, I didn't know what to expect the first time in China. Well, you don't, do you? You don't
of
know
course.
whether it little shanty sort of hotels or what. But they were magnificent
Yeah.
hotels. I've never
Sounds
been
like
in.
you really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And that meant that you actually went back twice
I-
more, didn't you?
Well,
to China.
I've been for 4 times.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
I've
4
been
times.
4 times.
Maybe,
you can come back.
sometime in the future we can revisit.
We're going
because
up the
China.
Yangtze,
that's the-
and the last time I went, it was to the south, and that was when China was having the Olympics, because I saw the bird's nest,
Ah, the stadium.
at the stadium, yes. But
Well,
the
we can-
temperature was
really
minus
fun
6
stories.
there
We can save that for a
for another day.
revisit.
But I say that was what I wanted to do. I've always wanted to go to Tibet.
And you did it.
I did it,
What a fantastic
and
way
I say,
to round off this particular episode.
well, that's it. I always want,
Adventures in Tibet.
yes.
Well, everybody's going to finish the show just singing the Ninja Turtle
song.
music. That's it.
Yeah, well, they've got one going now at the moment, haven't they? It's being advertised.
Oh,
the
the
Ninja Turtles
Ninja
again.
Turtle film.
Yeah, the animation doesn't look amazing on that.
No.
I don't know, but I thought instead of looking at the Himalayas, or Himalayas as people like to call it, they had the window shut and you had to watch
But
this
you
stupid-
saw them for
I saw-
real
Yes,
when you were there.
I saw the hill.
Huzzah!
So well done you.
Well
Yeah.
done, you. Thank you for
So-
going back into the studio for yet another amazing adventure.
Yes. So
Will you come back again, June?
I would hope so. Yes. Should I
Fantastic.
still be breathing?
I think you got plenty of years adventuring in you.
Well, I don't know.
Well, thank you, Indiana June.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Well, thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoy it.
So before we leave, I have a bit of an interesting announcement to do for the Now We Know Show podcast, and that is the announcement of the Now We Know Show flashback, which will be an upcoming exclusive for our Patron and YouTube members. So for the Now We Know Show flashback, we will be taking a random topic from a previous episode that we haven't visited in a long while, and we'll basically be picking it at random and then discussing it with whoever we've got in the studio at the time. So that's something to look forward to.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to that one.
So that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe to this channel and comment below any suggestions of topics or activities you'd like to listen to in future episodes.
So that's a big Himalayan goodbye from Buzz.
A big Yeti goodbye from Zach.
And Shishi from June.
What's shishi mean, June?
Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Goodbye.
You can find the Now We Know Show podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music and Apple Podcasts. Check out the Zak Wylde Productions social media pages on Instagram and Facebook, or visit the Zak Wylde Productions website at www.zakwyldeproductions.com. Please get in contact, we'd love to find out how you're listening to us. So get in touch in the comments and don't forget to check out Zak Wylde Productions on Patreon to become an official ZWP patron today.